Okay, so Ralph Havens, founder and owner of Mission Hills Physical Therapy and the Heart of Running Transformational Downloads. And I'm here at Mission Hills Physical Therapy talking a little bit today about one of the things that I just love, and that's running. But what I want to talk about today is a certain way to run and some things that I've noticed. So I've been a student of running for many years, both as a therapist and also as a runner. I've gone through many my own trials and tribulations as a runner, going from being a pretty competitive runner, a 2:28 marathoner, and looking to turn 40 and tearing up the roads as a 40-year-old. But I was hit with some significant running injuries, and I can talk more about that later, but it had a lot to do with attempts at barefoot running and attempts at aggressive stretching in the mid-90s, and I learned a lot from that. But what I'm here today to talk about is something that I think any runner can use at any level, and it's something that I've noticed a lot of people, in fact most people running today don't do. But I also have noticed that the best in the world do this, and they do it consistently, and it's what they always do. And what I'm talking about is progression. So what is progression? Progression is, in the running world, the way I'm going to be using it is your speed of your running and how it progresses throughout a run. What I've noticed with local fast runners, regular runners, joggers, people just starting running, high school runners, college runners, most runners in the United States, and I would guess in the world, when they go to run, they start off at a pace pretty close to the pace they're going to run at. So for example, if somebody's going to average 8 minutes a mile, we'll let that truck go by. If somebody's going to average 8 minutes a mile for their run, they'll start off at about 8 minutes a mile. Sometimes they even start off a little faster, and then they get a little tired, and they kind of average 8 minutes a mile, and they kind of slog through it, and at the end they're still running 8 minutes a mile. Well, I've got a few stories and some things that I've heard from the running community about how the East Africans do it, how the Kenyans do it, and how the Ethiopians do it, and they don't do that at all. If they're going to run an easy run, say they're going to run for them maybe in the 6 or 7 minute a mile range. We'll just use 7 minutes a mile as an example. Or actually, I'll go back and tell a couple of stories first about when I first started to hear this. I had been doing this for years because it just felt good. I would start very slowly and I would build up. For me at the time, being a 2:28 marathoner, that meant the first mile was about 8.5 or 9 minutes a mile. And then it would build up a little bit, and within a mile or two after that, I'd be running around 6.5, 7 minutes a mile, maybe faster if it was going to be a faster run. And if it was one of our Saturday runs where we were going to be moving along, the last mile would be about 5 minutes to 5:10 or 5:20. So that's quite a range to start at 8 minutes, maybe even 9 minutes a mile, and the last mile is in the lower 5 minutes a mile range. That's 4 minutes a mile difference. But it's what I naturally started to do. My friend and I, Mick, just found this. I don't know even how we found it. I think we were paying attention to what the best in the world were doing, but we noticed that if we started very slow, ridiculously slow, built up into it, we could start to iron out the kinks. We could start to loosen up a little bit. We could assess how our body was doing, and as the run progressed, we would start to get a little more excited and a little more excited, and then we're bouncing up on our toes a little bit more, and in the last mile or two, we really start to roll. So this did a lot for us. It kept us healthy. It kept us where we had a very big range in how many gears we could use. So come race day, we could use those gears. We had a big range. Whereas if we would have started at 6.5, 7 minutes a mile and kept the whole run at 6.5 or 7 minutes a mile, what good does that do us? It wasn't our race pace. We were racing in the lower 5 minutes a mile range at that point. It wasn't recovery enough. It was too fast for that. So what were we doing? Well, what I noticed over the years is this is what the East Africans are doing. We have stories of some of the Ethiopians that used to run in South Mission Beach back when a lot of them were hanging around one of the guys that was part of the elite racing rock and roll marathon group that would bring in a lot of the runners. But we heard stories about these guys, and they would do 30-minute easy runs, but they wouldn't do 15 minutes out and 15 minutes back. They would do 20 out and 10 minutes back. That's an enormous range. That's a very big difference. But that just shows that the progression that they were using. When we talked to a friend that had some buddies that were training with Haile Gebrselassie when he was in the Netherlands, they said that he would start his runs walking, and then he would stumble into the next few yards and few parts of the next run, and then it'd be 9 minutes a mile and 8 minutes a mile. And by his last mile, even on days that he was warming up for the track, his last mile was in the 4 minutes and 10-second range, 4:10. Well, his world record for the 5K was about 4 minutes a mile, between 4 and 4:04 a mile. So he was running a little slower than 5K race pace at the end of his runs, but he was starting at a walk. Paul Tergat, who had the world record in the marathon for a while and was one of Haile Gebrselassie big arch rivals, was said to have started his runs at 9 minutes and 45 seconds a mile. 9:45. How many of us can run that slow? But his last parts of his runs were in the 4-minute range. So there's a 5-minute differential per mile. What that does for us is it teaches your body that no matter what, in any conditions, under all circumstances, you always pick up the pace. How many of us get to the halfway mark of any race that we're in, and the second half is always slower than the first half? That's how most people run. Well, it's because that's how they train. So if instead with every single run, your slow runs, your easy runs, your warm-up runs, your interval runs, if you start ridiculously slow, build up into it, and then finish ridiculously fast, you've got a very big range. You've just taught your body that it can do anything it wants. So what I encourage all runners that work with me and people in our running group to do is to start ridiculously slow. If you have a running group like ours, and it's called Run with Greg, it's here in San Diego. If you have a running group like ours, we have anywhere from 20 to 50 or 60 people that meet on a Saturday here at me. And we have varied ranges in abilities and paces. But what we do is for the first mile or two, the faster guys and gals and the slower people all tend to run as a big pack. We'll run 9 to 10 minutes that first mile. And we're joking and carrying on and catching up with everybody. And then slowly, and I mean slowly, the groups start to split up to where there's different groups that start to set at the different paces. So there'll be the people running in the 6 or 7 minute range a mile, and the 7 or 8 minute range, and the 9 minute range. And so, so everybody finds their group. But what we do in the beginning is we start off slow, and we let everything warm up, and we get to know each other a little bit more, and we have a little fun, and then we get into it. And then at the end, the last third of the run, if anybody's feeling good or if things want to roll with people, that's the time to start to run faster, but faster than you would normally run your runs. So your range is very different. So try it out. Let me know what you think. Email me with your results. If you have any questions, you can contact me at ralph@missionhillsphysicaltherapy.com. Actually, ralph@missionhillspt.com, and our website's below. So, so happy running, and let me know how it goes.